This was meant to be a wet felting tutorial until I saw what I had to work with. Then we quickly changed directions, but I'm pretty sure that I can still save it. First I cut a hole so I could create an opening and take out the bubble wrap inside. Then I stuffed it full of some old cloth, trying to give it a better shape. After it had dried, I realised that it was still in pretty bad shape. So I pulled out a pool noodle and I got to work needle felting. I did a lot of needle felting. Yep, still needle felting. Once I had felted most of the outside, I was assessing the shape and I decided that I didn't really like this opening. So here I'm giving it a bit of a trim to try to straighten it up a bit. And then I started needle felting the edges again. I decided to bring in some new colours because I didn't really like this tomato red colour. I'm using gold and a light green, and then I'm adding a little bit of cream colour for highlights. And now I'm back to my favourite thing, which you probably could guess is needle felting. Here I'm just adding different colours. I've got a dark brown reddish colour wool roving here. I also have the cream colour that I mentioned before and some more green that I just spent some time felting on and giving the felt a little variation in colour. Here I decide that the top looks okay, so I turn it over, and I'm not really happy with what I see here, so we get to work. I'm adding a lot of felt in this section. As you can see, there are some white parts poking through the red, which tells me that the felt is very thin here, so I'm quite liberal with the amount of wool roving that I add to the bottom. Again, I start the needle felting slowly. I'm trying to hold the wool where I want it before I get a little faster. And then I spend a lot of time needle felting the bottom. When I'm happy with how it's all felted, I decide that it still needs something. So I get to work making a leaf to add to the top. I really don't like the colour of this green felt, so I use some of the green wool roving from earlier and give it a whole new coat. I add some details to the leaf using some gold colour wool roving. Here I'm trying to change the shape of the leaf and give it a few crinkles. And I give it a quick trim to tidy it up a bit. I also take some brown wool roving, roll it up, and now I'm needle felting it together to create a stem. I'm leaving the end part a little hairy, so that will help when I attach it. So I attach the stem using the unfelted wispy bits at the end. Then I add the leaf and I make sure everything is attached securely. I decide that the apple is about finished, but it still needs something. So I get sewing and I create some bedding for inside the apple. I create a mattress, a pillow, a sheet, a pillowcase. I'm going to add a tutorial on how I created all of this, and I will put the link in the description as soon as it's ready. Now that bedding is all done, I decide it still needs one more thing. So I knit a tiny little blanket. This is done in garter and stocking stitch. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more felted fixes and handmade magic, please hit subscribe. It helps this little channel grow, and it honestly means the world to me.